investment banking by an actual investment banker. So, what I really want to talk about today is just the basics of investment banking. And this is by someone who actually has worked in investment banking for a fair amount of time now. And I just want to sort of take it back to basics and give an overview. This can be just for interest or if someone wants to break into it. And I'm going to give you the reality. I'm not going to shirk around anything because there's so many different perceptions of investment banking. People always ask about, oh, you must be on so much money. You must get amazing bonuses. Do you do really long hours? What kind of work do you actually do? And what is the culture like? Is it a dog eat dog world? Is it this? Is it that? Do you have friends? Do you have a social life? There is so many different sort of things that are put out there. And I just want to get to the bottom of it from someone who actually works in it. And I just don't want to give you any of that fluff. So let's get straight into it. So firstly, I just want to separate it into what is the sell side and what is the buy side. Now, what you have is the sell side are investment banks or boutique investment banks. And what we try to do is we go to corporates, which are companies. And what we do is we say, hey, are you looking to buy a company? Are you looking to sell a company? If it's a private company, for instance, if it's a public company, they might be looking to buy and sell as well, but they also might be looking to raise some money. That goes for private as well, to be fair. So that's what we do. We try and go to companies and say, hey, do you want help in raising money, in buying a company or selling a company? Essentially, that's what it boils down to. Now, that is called the sell side because now what we're going to do, we're going to sell that idea to the buy side. Who are the buy side? The buy side are your hedge funds, your PE firms, your asset managers. So what these guys do, they have money that either has come through the company or, for instance, you have funds that are set up by asset managers where people like me and you, everyday people can put money into. And what they then do is they select which stocks to invest in. And they're like, okay, cool. We think there's going to be a high return on this one. Let's invest money into that. Let's get money from there. And the returns come back to you. So these are done on platforms such as I use, for instance, Hargreaves Lansdown. There's loads of different platforms out there that the regular average Joe like me and you can sort of go to and invest in. So that's what, for instance, asset managers do. PE funds and hedge funds operate slightly differently. Sometimes they do have funds as well, but they're more like the money's already there, just looking to deploy for people who may be of higher caliber, I don't know, or just have a lot more money. And they're looking to make some returns within generally 3 to 5 years time. So a PE firm will look to buy a company maybe and say, hey, we want to buy this company or a portion of this company. What we're going to do is we're going to build the infrastructure, try and boost up the operating margins so that it looks a lot more attractive in 5 years' time when we look to sell it, and we'll look to sell it at a big profit. So essentially that's sort of the landscape in sort of buy side and sell side. Now, breaking that down a bit more, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down sort of the sell side for you. You have bulge brackets, your elite bulge brackets, then your sort of bulge brackets underneath that. And then you have like your other tier 2 banks. Then you go into mid-market space, and then you go into your sort of boutique companies there. So for instance, your ultimate bulge is like the top in the world. You're looking at your JP Morgans, your Morgan Stanleys, and of course your Goldman Sachs's. Now, just below that, you have Deutsche Banks, your UBS's, them sort of very big banks and have a global presence as well, but they're just not, they don't have the sort of kudos, for instance, that the top 3 do have. Now, below that, what you have is mid-market firms. So I actually work for a mid-market firm. I'll list off a few here. One of them I do actually work for. So for instance, you have your Panmure Liberums, your Berenbergs, your Peel Hunts, your Stiefels, and then you have your slightly smaller ones where you have like your Cavendishes, your Singers, and that's sort of how it generally works. Now, the difference between those is just the sort of the value of the deals that they're doing. So your elite deals, your biggest deals in the world will always go through your big 3 generally. And then after that, any ones that are slightly smaller go through the Deutsches and your things like that. And then below that, you have like your Jeffries, which I would say are bigger than sort of mid-market, but not big enough to be a bulge, for instance. And then you have the mid-markets where I work in, where we're scrapping for like, sort of your deals that are maybe like around the £1 billion mark generally, or lower than that. And then what you have on top of that, you then have your boutiques. Now, what is the main difference between a boutique firm and an end-to-end investment bank? The main difference is the balance sheet. So what do I mean by this? The elite boutiques will only focus on advisory. So they'll only look to do M&A advisory, restructuring, that kind of stuff. But in terms of raising capital, they will not be in a position to, for instance, use their balance sheet to do some debt financing or anything like that. They can't help you in that sort of circumstance. Like, there are big differences in terms of working for one or the other, in terms of the sort of services that they can actually offer. However, the day-to-day work will be fairly similar in terms of the teams you work within. If we just break it down into the teams that you're going to get, which are similar, you're going to get is sector teams across across investment banks and across boutiques. So your sector teams, your TMT teams, your healthcare teams, your consumer teams, your energy teams, your natural resources teams, you're going to get this across everywhere. Your FIG teams, you're going to get these in both your Evercores, your Lazards, your boutiques, but you're also going to get this in your end-to-end investment banks, as I just mentioned, in the one that I work in. Where this slightly differs is that's for boutiques, that's sort of it. That advisory bit, you have your restructuring team and things like that as well. But that is all private side. So it's split by the Chinese wall. Don't know why it's called the Chinese wall. But you have your private side in a bank and your public side. Everything I've just mentioned there is on the private side. What that means is these are privy to private information by the company. So a lot of NDAs here. You're not allowed to speak about the companies that you're dealing with. Even internally, technically, you're not allowed, although people do across the floor. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, that's how it works. Now, on the public side, which isn't prevalent in, for instance, in boutiques, you have information that is just widely for the public, so you can just access this online. The divisions that sit there are generally sales, traders, equity research. So they're the front office positions that will sit on the public side of the wall. So the front office positions on the private side of the wall, the ones I've mentioned first, more advisory stuff. Further back from that, so they're the front office positions. Now, if we just look at your middle office and back office positions, your middle office is anything operations based. So it's anything where you're not in direct communication with the client, but you might get dragged onto some client calls. For instance, like your settlements team, different teams like in that sort of realm where you're working essentially for the corporate still, but just in a sort of more operations kind of role. Your back office now is where you're solely focused on the company that you're working for. So you're not looking at the corporates, you're not looking at your clients. What you're looking at is now you're focused on, for instance, like, I don't know, say if you work at a JP Morgan, you're working in the finance department of JP Morgan. So you're trying to figure out where the finances are allocated for JP Morgan to make JP Morgan a more operationally better place to work. And that's how an investment bank is sort of split out. And that's essentially what it is. So the investment bank is essentially the middleman between the corporates and the buy side. And we link everything together. We are essentially glorified salesmen. That is what you're going to do essentially if you do progress through the ranks of investment bank. And yeah, you'll see that fairly quickly. Tune in for the next video. I've got a massive series on this. I started building a small following on TikTok. That's how it came to this. So if you want to follow me, it's the same handle, HB Does Life. And I'll go sort of into my life as well, because I don't just do investment banking. I'm a musician and I also co-founded my own business. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, follow me up on TikTok and you'll find the links for everything there. But yeah, always remember to like, share, subscribe. Can't believe I'm doing this. But yeah, all that good stuff. And comment down below. Keep giving me ideas on what you want to see. I've got a bunch of ideas at the start, but inevitably I will probably run out. And my main goal is to help you. So as long as you're feeling like you're getting something from these videos, I will keep doing them. And yeah, let me give my knowledge to you so that you can hopefully use this to make informed decisions. Peace.